Hi, I'm Ed Belina.
Hey guys, Alvaro Cuba here. Hey Ed, what's about the hat?
Well, we're starting something new here. We're going to wear different hats every time we come on. This one, I'm sorry, I was not very creative. I wore our manufacturer meetup hat because the hat that I thought I was going to bring with me stayed at home. I'm obviously in a hotel room. But Alvaro, it looks to me like you got a tennis racket going on up there, huh?
Yeah, I do. I'm a tennis fan, and I don't know, guys. For sure, several of you saw over the weekend a masterpiece on tennis. No, an epic French Open final, and Nadal and Sinner. Alcaraz and Sinner. They played 5 hours 29 minutes.
That's insane.
And amazing match, amazing players, and a treat for all of us. There are fans of tennis. So that's about it. So, guys, today we have a special episode. We are close to July 4th, so we wanted to spotlight an incredible resource, often overlooked in our industry, which is the military veterans. And you heard us, and for sure you are experiencing this. 70% of the companies are experiencing severe shortage in labor. We talk about 500,000 gap in today, and the forecast is 2.5 million in 4 years. So we were thinking, well, somehow we need to fill those jobs with talent and skills. And what a better thing that to think about our veterans that they are highly trained, disciplined, they process oriented, clear on safety, global experience because they all travel around, clear on chain and command. So many great skills, attitude, even culture that we can use in our industry. So we decided we want to explore this and how we can fill this gap with our estimated veterans.
Terrific. Obviously, we have a lot of respect for our veteran community and the sacrifices.
Very much
for all
so.
of us.
Yes.
And today we are joined by our very own Chris Morrison. He is an exec and former field ops and former field operations. I'm sorry, with Augury. He brings a unique perspective to manufacturing. He served in the Marine Corps as a communications electronic technician for over 5 years, including deployments to Afghanistan. He managed some very complex communication systems and countermeasure systems. I'm sure he can't tell us all of it. He'd have to kill us. So only a thing can tell us, Chris. He also transitioned after his military service, providing that same kind of support to the military. And he joined Augury in Augury's sales team, I think 2019, but Chris will get that for sure. He is also kicking out his own content on LinkedIn. And let me tell you, you've got to watch this stuff. It is entertaining, educational, and funny as heck. I've learned that I could actually turn my hair into a mohawk. But we'll see how that works. Anyway, let's get started.
So welcome, Chris. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about your journey. No, you started Marine Corps communication, and then you transitioned into manufacturing in the field and in sales. Quite an impressive journey. Tell us a little bit how you did and why you choose this field.
Oh, for sure. So when I joined the Marine Corps back in 2006, and it was just an absolute first time job. 18 years old. I didn't really know that much. My father was a Marine, so that helped. So at 4 years old, I was walking around the house. Up 2, 3, 4. I love. I was like, okay. So that fate was.
I'm in.
The Marine. I mean, I knew it was going to happen, and it did. And when it turned out for different jobs, it's crazy. They're like, hey, what job do you want to do? And it's like, you know what? I like electronics. Let's do something with electronics. And they sent me on this way of telecommunications, and it's been a blessing. They put me in school for a year, and then I started doing different deployments. Did 2 deployments in Iraq active, and then 1 Afghanistan tour active. And in those environments, you really learn how to think on your feet and also use what you have around. Like before you go ordering a new part, see if you can like get around that. So there's been a lot of that, and also the Marine Corps is very poor compared to the rest of the other services. So we have to make do with what we have. That translated over to my private contracting when I was working on different jammer systems and also anti-drone systems. Like you had to have a fix for what was going on. Like sometimes we'd have GPSs go out, and who would have known if you put a GPS inside of the back of a coffee can, you can get a better signal spirals. It goes up. It's like, oh, that's pretty cool. So like just these little like hacks, if you want to call them, and then going from there.
How useful in the plant?
100%.
I'm sure. Yes.
1000%. So
how useful when I get in the woods in my ATV and I can't get GPS signal. I'm bringing a can of coffee with me next time.
So it's funny because it's led to a lot of different things, like how we hold our fin sensor on our machines at Augury. Like literally it came from opening and closing rabbit cages. And I was like, wait a minute, this will hold up a fin mount. So the technician's not having to stand there and wait for glue to dry and then just keep going. So it's pretty cool. Then the glue can also secure while it's not like being, if you're moving it, your heartbeat's going, a lot of different. So it's in the most stable environment possible so that glue can get the best cure. So it's just funny little things, little hacks you figure out, like you can apply it. And the trick is, you can apply these little lessons. When I got to Augury is where they really accelerated that a ton. The first thing Augury gave me when I showed up was a Kindle. And I was like, okay, what's a Kindle? And I've seen people like read these on planes, like what's going on? And they're like, hey, we like our employees to read. So, get on it. I was like, okay. And they gave me a little list of books to get. And then it's just been on from there. And I've learned how to take those little hacks that we've had and make them real, like make them actual like procedures and get those ideas actually like kept and we can use them. Versus if I'm just doing it and then some technician or 30 other technicians at 30 other plants aren't, it's better just to everyone's doing the same thing.
Any reason specifically for manufacturing that you landed? You choose it choose you?
So it kind of was just fate. I was in Bagram at the time, and we had about 3 rockets go off right next to me and like the building over. And it was like really chaotic. And I got a phone call from one of the old guys that he worked at Augury, but I worked with him on a prior contract. He's like, hey man, you want to get out of there? I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I want to go.
Yesterday.
And so he said, try these guys at Augury.
Okay.
And it's been best from there. Like the manufacturing, I'm actually extremely proud to be working in it because I think that's also what a lot of people have like forgotten. Like when you are creating steel or getting food out to people, you're literally feeding people. You're going to a place and you're feeding people, and there's honor in that. And I think like in America, at least, we've really lost that. Like, oh, you work at a line job, a factory job. It's like, no, man, these factories are a lot more complex than you think. I'm seeing one operator running there on working a seamer, and he's sitting there throwing the caps in, running around, making sure everything's all good. I'm like, holy crap. Like he's moving all day. I was like, that's a hard job. And like, I look up to those guys. I'm like, it's pretty cool stuff.
It's great to hear you say that because I think our manufacturing people, and Calvin and I said this right from the beginning, they were real heroes as well, right? Because they were the ones that were in the plant. They could not work from home. They had to be in there engaging with equipment, right? Making stuff. And we saw how tenuous that is, right? And the early days of COVID, it freaked me out to go to the store and find empty shelves. Who sees that in America, right? So it's very, very important to have, strong manufacturing. And speaking of kind of the environments that you work in, you were involved in some pretty fancy stuff. It's complex jamming, communication systems, millions of dollars in Afghanistan, and I'm sure Iraq as well. We're hearing a lot of this stuff now with what's happening out in Europe with drones and jamming drones and counter jamming drones. So, bringing it back to manufacturing, our manufacturing is, increasingly AI and IoT driven. how does military background translate? And I'm sure you guys are 10 decades ahead of what we're doing in manufacturing, but
You'd be surprised. It's extremely slow to get anything implemented in the military. Like if you have an idea for anything new, like it's going to go through a huge bureaucracy to get where it's at. I fortunately was a part of a different like program where it's like quick fixes. Like, hey, we have this new jamming system. It's prototype. Get it out there, and we get it out there. So like there was a little bit of like quickness, and I've seen that in manufacturing with what we do. Hey, we need a sensor that's like much more waterproof. Boom, they build it, and now we can test it. Okay, hey, it works. Cool, keep going. And so that part like was really relatable. Like, hey, we have this thing that's new. Let's go try it on active environment and go for it. So it's I like that.
Awesome.
Impressive. Chris, if there is a plant manager, how you make him understand how valuable could be veterans, how the experience in the military prepares you for you have a couple great examples, but in general, what prepares you and or doesn't prepare? No, in which areas? And for sure, there is a couple areas they don't prepare you.
100%.
Share a little bit.
100%. It depends on how beat up you've gotten. So when you've it's like, I mean, for real, like when you are trying to put up an idea and someone's saying no, they've like suffered under bad leadership. You're going to get someone that doesn't want to move unless they know that they have permission or they 100,000% know the answer to something.
Mm-hmm.
What we got to get away from on that is if you like, it's almost like want to pull that person off to the side and be like, imagine you're in combat and you see someone that's jacked up over there. What are you going to do? Are you going to wait for someone to tell you, or are you going to go over and get it? It's like, go over and get it. So like, that's one thing like that we can work on as veterans is use your brain and execute. Like, you know what needs to happen. You're there every day. You don't need your boss to do whatever. And if that should solve your problem though, because like you are the closest one there. If your boss has told you not to do that, that's a different story. But like the ability, obedience to orders, like, hey, we need to find a way to make this fit. I don't think you can. If you can doubt a soldier or Marine, they see it as a challenge. It's like, all right, you want to doubt me? I will show you. You get a little bit of an extra fire in there. So that's one thing is it sounds funny, but like I don't think you can do it. Whenever you throw that doubt out there, it really like, okay, fine. I'll show you what I can do.
Let me show you.
You know, it's when you were talking about the decisions that you need to make in a battlefield environment, right? I would at times share with my team that sometimes we, especially, you know, we're engineers, we're technical, we get into analysis paralysis. And I use kind of the analogy of if you have a battlefield casualty, you know, somebody's appendage got blown off, your first priority is to keep that person alive. So you staunch the bleeding, you keep them alive. After that, you can go find the appendage. So hopefully you can put it back on. But don't spend a lot of time doing that while the person is potentially losing their life. So that immediacy and take charge mentality is really something I very much appreciate in working with veterans.
That's true empowerment. On the other hand,
exactly.
No?
Yeah, you have to trust people to make those kind of decisions. And I've had the pleasure, the honor of working with a number of phenomenal veterans, from enlisted folks to academy grads from Annapolis, West Point, and Colorado Springs. And I really have enjoyed the relationship with them over the years. So getting back to what Alvaro was saying about manufacturing skills, right? Man, what a big gap we have, and it's only getting bigger, right, as we potentially onshore more of this. So based on your knowledge, how do you think veterans can help bridge that gap? Because I really feel that it's somewhat tapped. Most Fortune 100 companies have some sort of an engagement process, but I think we're still leaving a lot on the table, right? And especially as these plants get more high tech, it seems like, wow, that background from the military fits perfectly.
Especially with dealing with all these crazy GUIs, graphic user interfaces that we're dealing with. So it's pretty fun. You're like, all right, how does this video game work? But no, like 100%, like if they had some like job shows that were actually on Camp Pendleton and catching those guys a year before they got out, that would be like a very, very steady And I would say 1 year before they get out because the application process takes a while. And
Mhm.
going through, um, like attracting the military veterans, that's where you have to bring the honor back to manufacturing. You have to show that guy that is marred in dust and dirt and he's working hard, and you got to show him where he's all jacked up, but he gets it done. Like what he was messing with, that crack that was there, he welded it and it is fixed. And he gets to walk home and freaking take off his hard hat and just, oh, all right, and get ready for the next day. Like that's when you see like the hard work there. Cause if you look at any military commercial, what do you see most of the time? You see guys running into machine gun nests, running into battle, there's explosions everywhere. It's like
Right.
when you want to get a Marine or a soldier or airman, a Navy, a SEAL, a sailor, like you have to show like what you're going to go through and put the pain on there and all right, take it. Especially even the mental pain too. When you have like 10 different people coming to you at once, it's like, all right, I can only actually do 4 of these things. Let me prioritize and execute. What's the highest priority? Let's circle it. Okay, that's what I need to do right now. And, focus.
Great skills, and you touch in culture, which is so important, and to bring back that pride and that energy into manufacturing. We had one entire episode dedicated to that and how we all have to change the perception in manufacturing. No, it's not the dirty, dingy alone. It's really important. It has a lot of skills, and nowadays even has a lot of help. So, but it's to all of us to change the perception. Uh, in the skills, one thing that is the center in manufacturing is safety, quality. No, if you touch those, you in the military you have exactly the same. It's the same culture, even probably overexposed because it's safety of the people and quality of the execution. No, how correlates what you learn there into what you are applying into manufacturing?
So it's pretty close when it comes to safety. Like instead of putting my Kevlar on, I'm putting my hard hat on. Instead of putting my ballistics on, I'm putting on my safety glasses. Instead of putting my flak jacket on, I'm putting my safety vest on. And then instead of having my combat boots on, I got my steel toes. So like it was kind of a real different uniform, different environment, and then like start adapting.
That's interesting.
But the thing is like in the military, we're doing the most dangerous things you can do, like mobile shooting and stuff like that, the safest way that you can. And in the manufacturing environment, it's actually the same way. Sometimes you're doing dangerous things as safely as possible. And that's just how it is. Like, there's been a few times where I found myself where I have to go grab the safety guy that is in charge of the plant because I know I can do it. I know I can do whatever I'm about to ask to do. But it's like, you guys are in control here. Let's see if we can work something out. And I tell them a little bit about my background. Like, can I supervise? Yes, you can supervise. I know it's dangerous. I am tied off as best I can. Is this okay? You know what? It's okay. I'm going to supervise you. Got up there, did something dangerous as safely as possible, and the sensors were installed.
Oh, that's terrific. And I tell you, I'm probably going to steal something you just said. Bring honor back to manufacturing. Man, do I love that. Because we've been downtrodden, our image has been somewhat tarnished. We are rising like the phoenix out of the ashes. So I'm going to use that one again. So, hey, you managed a platoon of Marines, right? I think it's 23 Marines. You obviously learned and applied leadership skills as you manage them, right? How do you apply that to when you're training teams on a new predictive maintenance or monitoring system, or just simply being a leader on the shop floor? How does that translate?
Actually translates incredibly well. One of the roles of the platoon sergeant is to make sure that everybody has all their trainings that they do need in the first place, accountability of everybody, and like learning how to deal with people. Because with 23 people, you get some problem children in there. Like, dude, what's going on? Why are you late 15 minutes every day? Like, I already made you do 13,000 push-ups. I mean, you're getting really strong. It's still late. No, so it helps with like you have to be confident in what you're doing. When you're telling someone else to do and you're not confident in what you're saying, they're gonna look at you like, "Are you sure?" You know. So, and then the other thing too is like this actually happened to me at one of the recycling plants we were at. There was two towers. One was 100 something feet in the air. The other one was like 150. Well, I was like introducing a new guy, I'd be like, I cannot and I will not tell you ever to do something that I'm not willing to do myself.
Right.
So I'm going to take the taller tower and you're going to take the smaller tower.
Mhm.
So this is this guy's first time on the job. So I went up, got my job done, took some video documentation to show him exactly what he's going to be doing because I don't want to climb the other tower. So we go back down and I give him the footage. It's like, all right, here we go. Here's how it goes. And all right, got it, Chris. And that's really nice. Whenever you're dealing with a brand new set of people, you got to have that command presence. It's like, hey, we're going over here. This is what we're doing. Do we have any questions on this? It's okay to have questions. Don't let anyone else. There's no dumb questions. What do you got? Then they ask a dumb question. They're like, okay, all right, here we go. And you give them the answer to it. So,
Leading from the front, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, by example is by far my favorite. I mean, just try as best you can. And sometimes you do make mistakes. And
Sure.
the ultimate on that is be quick to be like, I was wrong. Don't try to defend when you figure out
Yeah.
you're wrong and you're trying to defend your old answer. You're an idiot. Like you got to cut it out. Like, okay, I screwed up. I miscalculated. I'm sorry. Here's how we're going to do it better.
Mea
And
culpa.
Yeah. And it's the only way to really start learning.
100%.
No, you need to switch the switch. Chris, manufacturing is changing and it's changing very fast. You experience firsthand in Augury with all the artificial intelligence, new technology. Ed and I are seeing that in the plant with automation and drones and a lot of technology, not only in the machines, but for the operators, for the mechanics. So it's really a complete different manufacturing. If you would have to give advice to the veterans, how to prepare or how to present themselves or how to apply to these jobs in these environments that are tech-enabled in these days, no? What would you tell them to prepare them for their interviews and to go into these open positions?
One of the big ones, at least when it comes to Marine Corps, one of the things I would tell them is it's okay not to know the answer. In the Marines, you have to know the answer, and then you have to be confident. Even if you're dead wrong, you're still confident in your answer. It's crazy.
Mhm.
How many people can sit in the back of an M240 MRAP? You're like, 16. Like, yes, 16. And you put a real stern, no, that's wrong, because you can get someone killed by giving out the wrong information. So, like, that is one thing immediately. Like, if you don't know the answer, don't bullcrap. Be like, hey, you know what? I actually don't know the answer to that, but I will find out. And I will, get back to you on that very shortly. So just the not having to know everything when it comes to technical skills, you just got to let them know what they're walking into. Be like, hey, this is going to be hard at first. I think you can rise to the challenge, or maybe you can't, but I'm leaning on that you can. And we're going to have to learn this with your hands and feet and go for it. Like MOS school, it's Marine Occupational School. In those, they almost kind of force you through it. But at this, they're not going to force you through it. If you don't pass, you're not going to pass. So let's put some extra effort into it. Don't put it off to the last second. Prepare for what you're doing.
Mhm.
So, like wearing the drilling, the DI hat and like yelling at them won't work. I tried that one time in a plant. I got a you
Well,
will.
That's so that's a funny one, and that's just kind of a thing between like people.
Yeah, yeah.
You're more inclined to do what someone's telling you to do when you know they can beat the crap out of you. But better do what that guy says, So, and
That's terrific.
so
I got to start working out because I'm not there at all.
always keep mentally, physically, and spiritually strong. Always.
I like that.
In the Marine Corps, on deployment especially, we had what's called the pit, because you have a bunch of angry individuals that are deployed away from home, sleeping on little cots or worse. and you get extremely lonely. Even though you're around all your friends, you want to get away from them too. There's no time that you actually have to yourself. So that part's pretty rough. I forgot where I was going with that. My apologies.
The pit.
Oh, the pit.
Yeah.
Yes. So when someone actually does challenge you and they have a legit challenge, like, hey, I'm not doing that. That's wrong, blah, blah, blah. Like, you want to take it to the pit. Now you see if they're serious on it or not. And then you go and you can grapple, and when all else fails, violence prevails. So we're able to do that.
It's like when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Hey, you
do
really
in
mean that?
manufacturing, though, like,
Okay.
you meet out in the parking lot, you have the cops.
Yes. At the end of at the end of the day, we'll meet in the parking lot, and
So you're not supposed to do that. Like, you can't do that, I guess, unless you're in Texas. But
It's interesting how all these cultures have their equivalent of the pit, right? High school, even grammar school, you get called out to the back of the playground. I mean, the pit.
Well, just let me add one little note on that. I used to go to the pit, and I used to crawl out a lot. I didn't win very much.
But you went to the pit.
Well, and I'm sure that prepared you a lot for what you had ahead of you.
Well, you learn de-escalation, you learn escalation. So when someone starts like shouting, sometimes you can stop someone from like overreacting and getting crazy when you're like, sir, I'm standing right here. I'm not far away from you. Like, what you're saying is reaching me. You've got this. And sometimes
that's wow.
They're talking to your level, because when we're shouting at each other, we think we're far away, and it's like, no, like, you don't have to raise your voice. Like, I got you.
That is that. Well, you've given us lots of tips.
There is a lot, yes, that we can use. Go ahead, Ted. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. As we're trying to kind of wrap this thing up here a little bit. How do we do a better job of recruiting and leveraging those technical skills and aptitude? Specifically, as we're looking at Industry 4.0, right? Call it whatever you want to call it, AI, IoT. How do we do a better job? You already mentioned the one thing about a year before they leave, which I wrote down. That's pretty interesting, and it's a simple thing that could make a big difference, right? But what else should we be doing to better recruit them and bring them into manufacturing?
So we do also have something called TAPS. It's at the end of an enlistment, and at the end of an enlistment, they have guest speakers that can come in. And because honestly, when I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I had no idea about manufacturing. I knew my stuff came like from the store, but I had no idea how it was made. Like, and I just had like, if I would have known about that, that possibly would have changed my trajectory. Right. So there's absolutely like I said, we need to bring the honor back to it, because not that nobody knows about it, but the wrong people spread information about it, negative information. And it's like, when you see like a team of people struggling with a problem, and then you bring in a solution for them, and then they're all executing perfectly, like, it is just a beautiful.
It's huge.
Thing.
Huge. That's terrific.
No,
I would say veteran CEOs. I would say veteran CEOs, veteran directors, if they could speak out on how the military has changed them, how military at least put, like, because everyone says you're lucky, you're lucky, you're lucky. It's like, anyone that's lucky put themselves in a position to get lucky. So that's where, like, you got to.
The harder you work, the luckier you get sometimes,
Puts you in a better position the harder you work.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and it's a great opportunity, no? I'm sure you have done this, but in all the companies that I work, we always have people going into universities to talk to the people, and to attract them. And 1 year earlier, and they have specific programs. If we do that, imagine how even much richer is if you go into the military, because as Chris was saying, they come already with the skills and with all the experience applying those skills in extreme situations. So it's kind of, they are ready to go into the plant and perform, or in any place in manufacturing. So I love it.
One of the beauties too is the military does give you, after an honorable discharge, they give you a Montgomery GI Bill. You get about 4 to 5 years of college for free. So like, if you can catch a veteran early enough and influence his major or their major, that would be pretty cool. Be like, hey, you want to be a production engineer? Like we got Cal State right over there, do an engineering degree
Yeah.
there, and they have their GI Bill already there to help. So.
That's a terrific way to build capability and kind of hunt where the ducks are too, right?
Yeah. No, and imagine you have these veterans with this culture, how it will even help the other people in the plant. The bringing that kind of culture and discipline and process. So it's not only you are getting the skills, the technical skills, but the leadership and people skills.
And a professionalism, right? It always strikes me, military folks are very professional, very respectful. Yeah, frankly, the only issue I ever had was I had one guy that was kind of like a little funky about the fact that people just wouldn't automatically listen to him. And I said, "Hey, man, this is a different world, right?" But most 99% of them were, hey, to your point, they understand leadership. They understand what it takes to get people to follow.
One last question, Chris. If we are hiring from the military in the company, what are a couple things that the company should put out there as a program or to help them to integrate better? What's an area that go to the plant see that, okay, if we would put this kind of support, help on adaptability or empower, or what would you suggest to a plant?
But are there some watch outs? Are there some kind of
Watch out.
unique yeah.
Yeah.
If you're coming in as a veteran into a plant, if I'm the plant manager, what are some things that I should have as things to be on the lookout for so I can help coach and develop? Or what are some of the watch outs that makes you guys and gals different than your typical off the street or campus hire?
So if you're hiring a junior position, one of the things you got to watch out for is this person wasn't a higher position before. Like I used to be in charge of 23 people. And then I went to 0, when I did my first job. So it's like, okay, it's just a little bit different. And some people look at that differently. They think like, once I've been at this place in this company, I should be at this place in this company. And it's like, hey, like you said, hey, this is the real world. You got to start in the mailroom. Like, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And one thing to be watch out for is that military veteran might not understand that. Like, because they'll be older in a position of other people that are younger. So they're going to, you got kind of a weird little area there. If you're hiring someone that's more senior, military background, generally they got their head on straight already. They've been in the civilian world a little bit longer. But if they're coming right out of the officer ranks, it's almost the same thing. Like, be advised, these are your people you're in charge of. Here's your sectors of fire. Stay within them. If you can help out the other sectors, do it.
Sure.
Can I give you one through personal experience? And that is, as a hiring manager or somebody who interviews, vets, at least have an understanding of rank structure and what it means. So I interviewed a master sergeant from the Air Force, incredible professional, right? And I don't know, right? I'm like, he's master sergeant. This guy could have been something different, right? So I asked him a question. I said, so like, you're really great. You have all these attributes, right? Like, why didn't you become an officer and like climb up the chain? I'm thinking, corporate, right? And he looked at me, well, it doesn't work that way. We're professional and all this. We became great friends. And I know he watches this podcast. So Scott, this is for you. My apologies for that, because he drove home. We were in Orlando. He drove home to Tampa. Tell my wife, you believe this guy asked me why I didn't become an officer? I was a professional. So we became great friends. So please understand the difference in the ranks and don't make the same mistakes that Belina made. So.
Well, and it's very similar in manufacturing. You have the techs that are, to Chris' point, very proud of being the tech, the expert on these kind of machines or these kind of processes and all that. And for them, it's not important the ranks and go up. They are so happy they know so much, and they are very well respected and very well rewarded, managing their technical parts. So a lot in common, clearly. So, Chris, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
In the show. It has been great. And guys in the plants, I'm sure you heard this and all of what Chris was sharing with us. But think about it: the gap is getting bigger, and we need to fill it somehow. I cannot think of a better way to go with a veteran that has already the work ethics. It has already skills, technical skills, and it manage people and how to move around. So it's just come the technicalities of the specific job, and then you are good to go. So it's certainly an area to go and explore very quickly, and to bring highly skilled, highly qualified people to our plants. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
No, absolutely. It's been not only informative. I took several notes, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to watch that video on the Mohawk. Now I'm intrigued.
Watch it. I did it, and it's hilarious. And the way you can use it, I'm sure. Okay, folks. So this is the wrap up of the episode. Thank you very much for joining us in the Manufacturing Meetup. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and subscribe. Tell your pals about it. Like us in YouTube or write a review in iTunes. And let's make this meetup to grow.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much, Chris, and a big thanks to the whole veteran community in the United States. If you'd like to keep this conversation going, you can email us at mmu@augury.com or find us on the Endpoint. As you know, that's a free online community for manufacturing pros, and that's at endpoint.augury.com. Also, by the way, don't feel like you have to get to the end of the episode to like us and to subscribe. You're perfectly okay with being enthralled by this from the beginning and hitting subscribe and like time and time again. Anyway, we'll also have those links in the show notes for this episode. Thank you, and see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Bye.